Hello, and welcome to BattleTech Faction Briefings. Today, we are traveling to the Periphery to focus on a unit that is part pirate and part military, the Black Warriors. What makes this team interesting is that they are far from ordinary pirates, due to a history that goes back to the Star League. The history of the Black Warriors is also the history of the Circinus Federation. Thus, this will be both a faction briefing and a political state history. For those who want to get out of the inner sphere and into the periphery, let's discuss the Black Warriors. The Black Warriors are a bit unique as they tend to disguise themselves as other units to attack unsuspecting prey. However, the accepted team emblem is a simple Jolly Roger. There are two main groups of Black Warriors: the Raiders that disguise themselves, and those that are set as Federation defense. There doesn't seem to be any notation about the defense team colors. As this is a pirate unit at its core, it is likely everyone has personal colors. However, it is noted that they do put a black panel with a Jolly Roger on the rear of their mechs to ensure they do not get shot in the back by an ally. If a mech commander chooses to use them in battle, it is best to use an existing unit and call them Black Warriors for the sake of the battle, unless you want to get creative and paint up a bunch of different personalized designs. The Black Warriors share a history with the Circinus Federation, but more than that, they show up in a couple of stories as antagonists. If you don't want any spoilers for those stories, then please skip to the time listed. The story of the Black Warriors goes back to the time of the Star League. There is little known about their role with the Star League Defense Force. However, it is known that prior to the Ameris Civil War, they had left the SLDF. This was done in order to search for more lucrative work as mercenaries. However, their loyalty remained with their parent military force. By 2769, they were working with the Free Worlds League, but after Captain General Kenyon Merrick refused to let General Kerensky's forces travel through the Free Worlds League due to a grudge Merrick held against Kerensky, the Black Warriors went AWOL. They raided a few Free Worlds League military supply depots as they fled towards the periphery. Kenyon Merrick ordered their capture and the Warriors barely escaped the pursuit. This started a grudge that the Warriors would have against the Free Worlds League for years. But they had more important things to deal with once they arrived in the periphery. Once in the periphery, the mercenaries arrived on Circinus. On planet, they found an old RimWorld's base that had been taken over by the SLDF. It was now a training base for volunteers who wanted to join the fight against Ameris. The Black Warriors once again worked with the SLDF, but this time training new soldiers. Once the war was over and Kerensky planned Operation Exodus, a message was sent out to the Black Warriors to join the rest of the SLDF in leaving. However, due to a communications error, they did not get the invitation. Once they learned that they had been left behind, they decided to stay on Circinus and started raiding nearby League agricultural planets in order to survive. Their reputation grew, and smaller pirate bands joined up with them. In 2785, a group of farmers fleeing from the Lyran Commonwealth landed on Circinus. They quickly struck up a deal with the Black Warriors. The Warriors would guard the farmers, and the farmers wouldn't question the Warriors' methods of acquiring new materials. A government was formed under the leadership of Robert McIntyre. At that time, the Black Warriors became the military of Circinus. During the First Succession War is when the Black Warriors' raiding methods started to evolve. They began using the colors and unit names of other groups to fool their target into letting their guard down, making their raids much easier and more successful. Over the years, the government was able to give legitimacy to the nation as a periphery power. More importantly, they were able to hide the less than honorable behavior of their pirate-based military forces. It also helped that American intelligence was too busy with the Succession War to worry about a minor periphery power. The Black Warriors got involved with the Free Worlds League once again during the Second Succession War. The Free Worlds League needed a staging point for their raids into Lyran territory. After hiring the Iridani Light Horse, The planet of Circinus was chosen. While the majority of the Black Warriors were off on a raid, the Iridani Light Horse showed up and occupied the planet in 2853. The Light Horse worked alongside the Black Warriors for a few months. They were glad to work with a former SLDF unit until they learned that the Black Warriors were pirates. At this point, they dispossessed their leader, Angelica Sirion, and left her and some of the troops stranded in Lyran territory to be arrested. This led to occasional fights between the two forces for the nearly 10 years the ELH were on Circinus. The battles with the Light Horse led to the near destruction of the Black Warriors by 2862. The Free Worlds League eventually let go of their temporary control of the planets in the region. This fanned the flames of hatred the Black Warriors had for the FWL and the ELH. That being said, it would take years for the Black Warriors to rebuild into a force that could be considered a threat to anyone. After the Light Horse left, the Black Warriors began their raiding practices once again. This time they added Lyran worlds to their target list. In 2871, there was a raid on the Iridani Light Horse, stationed in the Periphery. They were there for rest and refit. While it is unknown who the pirates were, it is likely that the Black Warriors were responsible for this attack. While the Black Warriors continued their raids and built up their forces, Circinus had a period of economic growth. Around 2990, the president of Circinus, C.J. McIntyre, started a program to encourage colonization of nearby planets. This would bring in 8 worlds, and by 3020, the Circinus Federation was born. However, the needs for more workers led to the Black Warriors capturing people and turning them into slaves during this time. Houses Steiner and Merrick discovered the origin of the raids after capturing several members of the Black Warriors. President McIntyre had an invasion on his hands due to how angry the Great Houses were. With swift diplomacy and prisoner returns, McIntyre was able to avert the crisis and earn political legitimacy for the Circinus Federation. After that, the Black Warriors turned their focus on the Periphery and raided various Periphery nations and independent worlds to great success. As the Fourth Succession War began, the Free Worlds League wasn't very involved. However, Janos Merrick was asked to assist in the war by his allies, Houses Liao and Kurita. Eventually, he was talked into giving the Lyran Commonwealth a second front to fight. This became Operation Dagger, a series of heavy border raids to find weaknesses in the Lyran defense. It was a short operation that lasted 3 months from October to December 3028. However, the operation led to counterattacks from both halves of the fledgling Federated Commonwealth. The Black Warriors were contacted by the 42nd Avalon Hussars to assist in the defense of Serios, with the promise of Lyran supplies as a reward. While the team of Hussars and Black Warriors failed to hold Serios, the payment plus salvage allowed the Black Warriors to build up to a 3-regiment force by 3032. That same year, the president of Circinus died, and his son took over with dreams of conquest. The Federation began preparing war supplies and equipment for the invasion of the Illyrian Palatinate. Before the invasion could commence, the leader of the Black Warriors, Adam Sirion, died in a bar brawl. Adam's son Michael was too young to lead the forces, so President H.R. Little Bob McIntyre took control of the Black Warriors, due to the lack of a Sirion being of age to lead, which was the Black Warrior tradition. The Black Warriors were against this, as McIntyre had little mech piloting experience and was not a skilled tactician or military leader. In early 3033, McIntyre ordered a delay in the attack so he could train with the Black Warriors to make sure they were ready for the war. In reality, it was because intel reports stated the Illyrian Palatinate was better defended than they had assumed. However, the information was false and was planted so that the Illyrian forces could buy time to prepare for this invasion. As the year passed, McIntyre lost more support amongst the Black Warriors, and Michael Sirion gained more support as the future leader of the military. In 3034, the Black Warriors invaded the Illyrian Palatinate. They entered the war with the expectation of a quick victory, but the Illyrian military had dug in and hired mercenaries to bolster their forces. The arms of Thor mercenaries defended the Illyrian territory, and their 2 battalions of assault mechs destroyed over a regiment of Black Warrior light and medium mechs. In an attempt to save face, McIntyre ordered the invasion of Dercedots. There had been some minor struggles over this planet back in 3003, but this was a major invasion to secure the planet as part of the Federation. They did earn an easy victory at Dercedots, because it wasn't a planet of note and had very limited defenses. In 3035, the Black Warriors lost an entire battalion to the 5th Orente Hussars during a failed raid on Sierra. To make matters worse, in 3036, the single company garrisoning Dercedots was overrun by local guerrillas. A full battalion of warriors was sent to deal with the guerrillas in 3037. It was a difficult challenge for the Black Warriors, as they were not trained to deal with guerrilla tactics. This left the Black Warriors with limited resources to continue their raiding operations. Meanwhile, McIntyre had been planning a new offensive against the Illyrian Palatinate, but troop movements by the Federated Commonwealth and Free Worlds League changed his mind. The Black Warriors finally achieved victory on Dercedots in 3040. After 10 years of being in charge, McIntyre's incompetence had caused the Black Warriors to decline into a 2 underpowered battalion unit. Obviously, dissent with McIntyre continued to grow. The anger of the soldiers boiled over and led to a coup attempt in 3041. McIntyre used his fortune to bring in more soldiers to build the McIntyre House Guard. The fighting between the guards and the warriors led to a stalemate. McIntyre worked things out by acknowledging his failures and tried to make peace with the warriors. He remained in command, but started promoting loyal soldiers into important officer positions and relinquishing his power little by little. To make matters worse, in 3042, a Black Warrior captain, Hopper Morrison, discovered a Star League supply depot while on a deep space raid. He took his company and other dissatisfied Black Warriors, then left the Federation to make his own pirate force, Morrison's Extractors. This left the Black Warriors with only a battalion of troops and forced them to rebuild once again. As the Federated Commonwealth was focused on battling the clans, the Black Warriors put together a lucrative scheme. First, they had the president do diplomatic actions towards the Federated Commonwealth. Meanwhile, the Black Warriors did some raids to take advantage of the distractions the Federated Commonwealth was dealing with. They raided San Hoa and Kon Kaen, where they faced off with the Mobile Fire Mercenaries. They ran into the 5th Orente once again in 56, and this time the warriors won and looted a township on Sierra. In 3057, a group of Black Warriors left to join Stefan Amaris VII and his plans to rebuild the Amaris Empire. While the Black Warriors were part of the SLDF, it should be noted that Circinus was part of the Rim Worlds Republic. Thus, years of living there and promises of wealth and conquest drove them to support the madman in his ambitions. The New Republic army was made up of various pirate and lesser mercenary groups. While the Black Warriors were the highest ranked member of the team, they were supported by the Crimson Reapers, Lennox's Long Riders, and the Red Hell, all of whom only really appear during this time period. Again, they found success by disguising themselves as a different unit while making their raids. This time they chose the Knights of the Inner Sphere as their disguise. This choice drove a team of knights to find the pretenders and take them down. Despite some support from the jobbers that Amaris had hired and outnumbering the knights, the Black Warriors were still defeated by the Knights of the Inner Sphere. The remainder of the Black Warriors and those who had escaped the knights continued raids into the Federated Commonwealth until the Lyran Alliance broke away. The Alliance used their intelligence network to figure out where the raids were coming from and planned a counterattack. The Timbuktu Theater March Militia led the attack in 3058, alongside Free Worlds League military forces. The campaign hit every single Federation world. The Black Warriors and McIntyre House Guard had to work together to hold off the invasion of Circinus. Things got so bad, President McIntyre had to hire other mercenaries to help keep order. The Lyran assault did major damage to the Black Warriors and destroyed Federation morale. The counterattack was enough to dissuade the Black Warriors from raiding the Inner Sphere for years to come. After recovering from the damage sustained by their defeats, the Black Warriors went out once more to raid their neighbors. This included raids against the Marian hegemony, the New Colony region, and rebuffing attacks from the Tavareb Timbuktu Theater Militia, a revised version of their previous Lyran foe. The growth and power of the Marian hegemony led President McIntyre to send diplomats to prevent war between the bordering nations. In 3063, the diplomats were returned in body bags. This led the Federation to look for allies. The Rim Commonalty of the Free Worlds League and Magistry of Canopus hired minor mercenary forces to assist the Federation in this fight, but didn't want to get directly involved in a war with the hegemony. The Federation's first move was to help instigate rebellions on Illyria and Lothario, which distracted parts of the hegemony military. The Black Warriors also pulled off small raids in 65, but the hegemony assault in 66 put the Federation in a bad position. That's when a deal was struck with the Word of Blake, who provided reinforcements to the Federation in exchange for concessions. Receiving improved equipment helped the Circinus military hold off the Marian hegemony. However, the hegemony forces made it to Circinus, and a risky plan to end the war began. The Black Warriors used a pirate point to go to the hegemony capital world. They took control of the HPG and sent a message with evidence of their location. The hegemony forces pulled away from Circinus, and the war was over for a time. Fearful of the word of Blake, Fritz Donner, the colonel of the Black Warriors, abandoned his station in 3067. He gave command to Michael Sirion and told him to evacuate from Circinus, then give as much intel as he could to the Iridani Light Horse. Sadly, Donner would be captured by the Word of Blake Special Forces a few months later. He was brought to Gibson and tortured for years without breaking, until presenter Epelion took over and brainwashed Donner. He was planted in a prison on New Home and rescued in late 71 alongside other political prisoners. In January 3073, Donner was set to testify at a summit on Ark Royal. However, when he got close to some dignitaries, a bomb planted inside his body detonated, killing several people, including the Khan of Clan Ghost Bear, the Sa Khan of Clan Wolf in Exile, General Maeve Wolf, and Colonel Rhonda Snord. The death of their Khan led Clan Ghost Bear into a personal war with the Word of Blake. Back on Circinus, the Black Warriors noticed a shift in power as the leadership of the Federation became puppets to the Word of Blake. Thus, many Black Warriors left the Federation in search of better opportunities. While some of the soldiers remained on world, this was the effective end of the Black Warriors. As the defenses of the Federation weakened, the Marian hegemony renewed their attacks and stole several planets. The end of the Circinus Federation came with the end of the Word of Blake in 3081. The final blow of the war came with a fleet of Regulan warships that destroyed Circinus with a nuclear attack. The plan was to eliminate any remaining Blake forces, including their leader, the true Thomas Merrick, once and for all. With the loss of the Circinus Federation, the Black Warriors no longer had a home. Their losses in the late Jihad era have made them far less of a threat than they once were. While there is no information I could find about their existence through the Dark Age, they may still pop up in the future as other units have come back from the dead. However, it is easy to assume that they were wiped out due to their lack of resources and connection to the Word of Blake. From SLDF heroes to bloodthirsty pirates, there are many notable pilots amongst the Black Warriors. Zachariah Sirion, the colonel of the unit in the late 28th century. While he was not the first commander the unit had, Zachariah did set the tone for how the Black Warriors would function after the fall of the Star League. He piloted an unknown Star League mech, possibly a Battlemaster. Angelica Sirion, the colonel during the collaboration of the Iridani Light Horse that nearly wiped out the unit. Her failures in leadership led to animosity between the Black Warriors and the ELH. She piloted a Battlemaster. Adam Sirion, the colonel during the end of the Third Succession War and Fourth Succession War. He was a rough and tumble guy with great ambitions. Sadly, his temper got the best of him, and he died in a bar brawl. His preferred mech is unknown, but likely a medium close-range unit. H.R. Little Bob McIntyre, the president of the Circinus Federation, who took over as leader of the Black Warriors to disastrous results. He would die from a heart attack in 3067. It is noted that he did pilot battle mechs poorly and probably kept out of harm's way using a long-range focused unit like a trebuchet or a catapult. Fritz Donner. Dishonorably discharged from the Iridani Light Horse, Donner became a major in the Black Warriors in 41 and took command of the unit in 58. However, when the Federation started working with the Word of Blake, he fled and faced a fate worse than death. He was a medium mech pilot. Michael Sirion, the last listed colonel of the Black Warriors, who had to struggle to get his position as the colonel. He likely piloted one of the advanced mechs provided by the Word of Blake, probably a Warhammer. The primary thing to remember when building a Black Warrior raiding party is that they use light and medium mechs with combined arms tactics. The 1st Battalion, the Black Death, preferred to use flanking attacks and hit-and-run maneuvers. Thus, whatever they field in battle must be able to handle variant terrain and not have a top speed below 85 km per hour unless the unit is jump capable. They are often assisted by the Black Horses, made up of hover tanks and VTOL units that scout and provide fire support. The 2nd Battalion, the Black Hearts, are the home guards who use heavy mechs. The Black Angels utilize heavy air fighters in order to clear out enemy units quickly. Their infantry, the Black Dogs, has special units for raids, but also serve as defense when needed. They also had a tendency to utilize ECM devices when they had the chance to acquire that kind of technology. It is not surprising that the Black Warriors show up as antagonists in several stories. Dying Dignity is an Iridani Light Horse adventure, Star-Lord is a Knights of the Inner Sphere adventure, and finally, Commerce is All is an Arms of Thor adventure. Beyond that, they have quite a bit of information in sourcebooks, as they were the main military force of the Circinus Federation for almost its entire history. My original idea was to do a pirate faction to tie into Halloween. However, as my research continued, I realized the Black Warriors are far more than I had first thought. They have so much history because it's like covering both a unit and a government at the same time. In fact, reading about them led me down a path that now makes me want to explore a few more Periphery military units. Strangely, I could see catalyst to doing a Black Warriors or Periphery Pirates set, and if so, here are my suggestions, alongside pilot cards for Adam Sirion, Michael Sirion, and Fritz Donner. Thank you for watching, and I really appreciate your patience as I got sick while trying to work on my videos this month. Next time, I'll be looking at the spin-off unit of the Black Warriors, Morrison's Extractors. Also, I'd like to thank all the mech warriors who have recently subscribed. May your weapons stay hot and your reactors stay cool. Until next time, I'll see you at the tavern.